Hey, how are you doing? This is the summary of episodes 3 and 4 of the series Chief of War. And if you haven't watched the summaries of the first 2 episodes, I left you the link for them in the pinned comment. Let's go. Episode 3 starts 1 year after the events of episode 2. We find Kiana, thank God, finally wearing clothes and sparing us from his backside muscles that were bothering us the whole time. Tony, the guy on the ship, was teaching him the English language and also teaching him how to use the rifle. He made him memorize every detail of the rifle and also taught him how to aim. And that's because Tony loves Kiana so much. You don't really understand why. Maybe he just has a kind heart. They took Kiana with them on their trade journey and passed through Alaska, and there Kiana hunted deer with the rifle. So the man actually practiced on it. On the other side in Oahu, his wife Kupohe didn't know what his fate was. She was almost sure that Kiana had already passed away. Then we go to Oahu, where the crazy King Kahekili was. There was some resistance there. Some people tried to poison him because of what he did, but Kahekili and his council were very alert, so they captured those people and poisoned them with their own poison. We go back again to Hawaii, specifically to a district called Kohala, because Hawaii is divided into districts. One of them is led by a chief named Kamehameha. Yes, believe me, just like I'm telling you, Kamehameha. Anyway, Mr. Kamehameha was challenging the men in his district. Each one of them was holding a stone to weigh themselves down, and they were standing at the bottom of the sea, competing to see who could hold their breath the longest. And of course, needless to say, Kamehameha was the last one to stay underwater. Not only that, but he didn't just come up. He swam back to the shore, still holding the stone. And that's because Kamehameha is really strong. Or maybe, the men of the land were just flattering him and afraid of him, and no one wanted to beat him in case it backfired on them. Anyway, when he comes up to the shore, Kahumanu's father comes to him and says, "Hey man, why are you leaving the leadership of your district like this and playing around at the sea here?" Kamehameha told him that the leadership council is a council of words, not actions, but he is a man who loves action, not just talk. So Kahumanu's father told him that the king of Hawaii, who also happens to be Kamehameha's uncle, his health is deteriorating and he is on his deathbed, and he asked for Kamehameha in an urgent meeting. Kamehameha wears his war attire and goes to the king. There, the king was present along with his son Kiwoa. Some names in this series, dear viewer, only God knows them. My tongue is twisting here. And if this is your first time watching us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let me know your impression about the series. Anyway, the king began his speech by mentioning Captain Cook and said that he was a great leader. Captain Cook was the one who had come before and attacked them, and they defeated him. But as we said, they lost so many people back then because Captain Cook came with pistols and rifles while they were fighting with spears. The important thing is, whenever the king spoke well about Captain Cook and his men, Kiwoa would interrupt him and speak badly of them because he couldn't stand them and was very upset about what they did to them. Yet it was clear from the king that he highly respected his opponents or his enemies. Anyway, after that, they brought up King Kahekili, and the king said that surely he is planning to come after them to occupy Hawaii. And he asked Kamehameha what preparations they should be making during this time. At that moment, Kiwoa jumped into the conversation and said, "We prepare spears and prepare weapons, and the most important thing is to have pure intentions, and God willing, we'll be able to face Kahekili and his army." So the king told him, "Can you shut up? I want to hear Kamehameha." Kamehameha told him that in their last siege, years ago, their warriors were defeated because of the lack of food. There was no food in their storerooms during the siege, so the warriors starved and couldn't find anything to eat. At that time, they were forced to eat some kinds of grass that caused them diarrhea, and then they lost the war. What kind of ridiculous loss is this, dear viewer? Imagine someone in the tribe asks his grandfather, "Grandpa, how did you lose the war?" And he replies, "I got diarrhea." Anyway, Kamehameha told the king that they should fill their storerooms with grain and food. Kiwoa jumped into the conversation and told him that this would take at least 9 months. Kamehameha said that he had already started with that, and now all the storerooms were already full of grain and food, meaning that the man had been prepared for months. At that moment, the king was very impressed with Kamehameha and his strategic mind. As for Kiwoa, it was very clear on his face that he wasn't pleased with what had happened and was jealous of Kamehameha. We then moved to Kahumanu and Jack, the one they rescued at the end of the second episode. We learned that they took Jack with them, and he stayed with them in their tribe, and they hosted him. Anyway, Jack was teaching the children of the town and Kahumanu the English language, and many people in the town learned English. At that time, Kahumanu's father, whose name is Moku, came in. He looked at Jack and told him, "Get out of here now." Then he told Kahumanu, "Get yourself ready, because you are going to marry Kamehameha." Kahumanu told him, "You again? Why are you in such a hurry?" He told her, "In a hurry. We've been here for a year. What kind of marriage is this that takes a year to prepare? Come on now. Try to get ready quickly so the wedding can happen soon." We then move to the ship where Kiana is. On the ship, there is a man named Marley. Marley really hates Kiana and also hates Tony. He even hates himself, dear viewer. This person is a very evil man. He was muttering and saying, "Why did the captain save Kiana?" So Tony told him, "Because Kiana saved the captain before, so the man is just returning the favor. You are a dishonorable man." Marley told Tony, "Don't forget yourself and don't forget your place. Just because we are on the same ship doesn't mean that we are equals. Look at yourself and remember everything." And here, of course, Marley meant that he was his slave and so on. So Tony took those words and then went to Kiana. He looked at him and found that he had surrounded himself with weapons. So Tony told him, "Man, aren't you hanging out with anyone on this ship except for these weapons of yours?" Kiana told him that he wanted a lot more weapons. Tony told him, "Then you're going to need a lot of money, and you're already borrowing from me the pants you're wearing, Kiana." He then told him, "Anyway, after this, we're heading to a coastal city called Zamboanga. This city is an Indian city that the Spanish occupied, and it has everything you want, Kiana. But your problem, like I told you, is money." We go back again to Kahumanu. She tells her father, "Why are you pushing me into this marriage?" Her father told her, "Look, my daughter, to put it plainly, I feel like Kamehameha is the promised king that the prophecy spoke of." Huh, wasn't it Kiana who seemed to be the promised king, dear viewer? Anyway, Kahumanu asked him, "How are you so sure that he is the promised king?" Her father told her, "On the night of Kamehameha's birth, the prophetic star burned in the sky, and that was the sign of the promised king. From that time, Kahumanu, my daughter, I was certain that he was the promised king. But unfortunately, until now, he's still hesitant and unsure about anything in his life. So your role, Kahumanu, is to make him reach certainty, and that's why I want you to marry him." Then he left her and went away. Kahumanu then went to Kobohi, and she found her sitting in the middle of the forest, venting her anger on the trees. Kahumanu asked her, "How are you doing?" Kobohi asked her, "How are you doing? I heard that you're going into a marriage that you don't even want in the first place." Kahumanu stayed silent and didn't respond. We go back again to Kiana. They had reached the Indian city. There, when they got off to enter the Indian city, Kiana wore his official outfit as a form of pride for the place he belonged to. Anyway, Kiana went down and walked around the city, and he saw with his own eyes everything new: the people's clothing, the people themselves, and the differences in races and appearances. But the thing that caught Kiana's attention the most was the weapons. He was very interested in them. So Tony took him and entered him into a weapons shop to let him look at the newest weapons that had just arrived on the market. And then Kiana went and talked to the shop owner. He told him, "Hey, listen, I want all the weapons you have." The shop owner told him, "No problem, your money please?" So Kiana pulled out 3 shillings, or maybe 3 dinars, and gave them to him. Of course, at that moment, the man burst out laughing, and Tony took Kiana and walked him out. He told him, "Man, like I told you, you need a lot of money, and you don't have anything. You don't even have more than half the boxer shorts you're wearing, Kiana." While they were walking through the streets of the city, a woman spotted Kiana, and it seemed like she knew him. So she went up to him, spoke to him, and took him away to a place away from people. She talked to him and offered him help, telling him that she could get him anything he wanted. Kiana asked her, "Who are you, and why are you helping me?" She told him that her name was Phi, and that she was also from the islands where he came from. In other words, she was from his homeland, but she had been in that place for many, many years and wanted to return to her islands. As for how she got from her islands to this place, she didn't say. Anyway, she told Kiana that she was ready to get him all the weapons he wanted, but she asked him why he wanted them in the first place. Kiana told her that he had made a mistake and wanted to fix it. She told him, "Fine, no problem. I'll help you, but you're also going to help me." So Tony took Kiana and Phi and went to their captain. There, Phi spoke to the captain and told him, "Hey, listen, I'm going to offer you the deal of your life. You're going to buy the weapons that Kiana needs with your money." The captain told her, "What? Do you think this is easy? First of all, this is going to cost a lot of money. Second, in order to get them out of here, we're going to need a lot of permits." Phi told him, "Don't worry about that part. I'll handle it. As for the money, you'll get back multiples upon multiples of it." The captain asked her, "How?" Phi told him that their islands were rich with a type of wood called pine wood. That wood was extremely rare, so rare that a single piece of it could be sold for 5 times its regular value. She told him, "And let me tell you, in our islands we have mines of that wood." At that point, Kiana jumped in and told her, "Wait, are you selling out our homeland or what?" Phi told him, "We're doing trade, not selling our homeland. And money, Kiana, money is what speaks. Besides, the one who has more weapons can protect himself better these days. And by the way, this trade will be run by us on our own terms. No one will force us into anything because we'll have our own weapons. Then she turned back to the captain and told him, keep in mind, the Spanish still don't know where our islands are. But if they ever find out that our islands hold pine wood, then you won't even have time to react. So you better move fast. So basically, that pitch impressed both Kiana and the captain. After that, Phi took Kiana and walked with him around the city, showing him the native people who were the real owners of that land. The Spanish at the time were crushing them and treating them horribly. She told Kiana, if the Spanish ever reach our islands, they'll do the exact same thing to our people as they're doing to these ones. So my idea, Kiana, is our lifeline. We need to move fast because it's only a matter of time before our islands are discovered. The next day, that man Marley, the evil one, went and spoke with another captain named Metcalf. He told him about Kiana's islands, saying that they were full of treasures and that the islanders were very primitive people who could easily be taken down with weapons. He struck a deal with Captain Metcalf, promising him a big share of the loot. We then go back to Kahumanu. That day was supposed to be her wedding day, but before the ceremony, she spoke with her father Como and told him, listen, the fortune teller told me that I won't be able to have children. And obviously, Kamehameha needs heirs. So, honestly, I think this marriage is completely pointless. But Como told her, you're marrying him anyway, and don't you dare mention this issue to him. Then they dressed her in the wedding gown and brought her to Kamehameha. There, they performed the initial wedding rituals. We also learned that this wasn't Kamehameha's first bride. He already had many wives, and Kahumanu would be his last. After the ceremony ended, they took her to Kamehameha's tent. Inside the tent, there was an old woman sitting with Kamehameha. I have no idea why she was there. Was she some sort of wedding night supervisor? I really don't know, dear viewer. Anyway, the night ended. We then cut back to Tony. At this time, Tony had been keeping an eye on Marley, sensing that he was up to something shady. By coincidence, Tony went into their ship and found Marley inside the captain's cabin. Why? Because Marley was trying to steal the maps that led to Kiana's islands. Tony confronted him. What are you doing here? What's your business with these maps? Why are you taking them? Marley answered, the captain told me to get them for him. Tony said, you liar, and immediately pulled a gun on him. But right then, it turned out Marley had backup. 2 of his men were hiding in the cabin. They grabbed Tony, disarmed him, and beat him up. In the end, they knocked him out cold, planning to sell him into slavery and get rid of him without the captain ever finding out. At the start of episode 4, we're back in Hawaii. The king of Hawaii has passed away. All the tribal chiefs of the kingdom went to the king's son, Kiowa, and knelt before him. Meanwhile, over in Maui, the news of the Hawaiian king's death reached King Kahekili. He said, what? He died before I could finish him off? That was supposed to be my greatest victory. Then he added, you know what? Before anyone else from their side dies, we'll gather our army and march on them. But one of Kahekili's advisors stepped in and said, with all due respect, your majesty, this is turning into a massacre. This isn't the prophecy you were speaking of. Because the prophecy said that we were supposed to unite all our forces into one front, not wipe out every king and prince of the other kingdoms. But Kahekili responded, there are no other kings but me from now on. Every bloodline that comes after this will descend from me. That's final. Now go prepare the army. So they all left to do exactly as Kahekili ordered. But his son, Kupalo, gave him a look, the kind of look that clearly said, what you're doing has nothing to do with the prophecy. You're just greedy. Still, Kupalo didn't speak a word. He simply obeyed and carried out his father's wishes. Then we cut to Kobohi. There, Namaki, who's supposed to be Kiana's brother, started getting close to her. Not only that, but Kobohi seemed to be responding positively too. Why? Because everyone thought Kiana was dead, so they figured they might as well move on with their lives. But Nahi, who was watching them from a distance while they were playfully whispering in each other's ears, did not like what he saw. His wife, Heiki, told him, calm down. Let them live their lives. You know very well that Namaki has loved Kobohi for a long time, and it's been over a year now. Kiana never came back. He must be dead by now. But Nahi argued, suppose they do live their lives, and then suddenly, bam, Kiana walks back in one day. What are we going to do then? Huh? Heiki said, simple. We'll celebrate his return, that's all. Oh wow, really, Heiki? Everything's that easy for you? You don't realize that if Kiana even glimpses Maki with his wife like that, he's going to be so furious. It'll be like they're strapped to the exhaust pipe of a motorcycle and dragged around for at least 3 hours straight. Anyway, let's go back to our boy Kiana. I was about to tell you something important, but hold on, we'll get there. For now, Kiana is talking with Phi. She tells him that she's finalized the weapons deal, and tonight, the weapons will be secretly transferred onto the ship. Kiana was looking everywhere for Tony, completely missing. He was nowhere to be found. Fai told him, I don't know where he is. Forget about him for now and focus on what's important, okay? But Kiana couldn't. He was worried sick about Tony, running around the city like a madman searching for him. He even went to ask Marley, who said, I don't know. Believe me, I saw him last night. He was having fun, drinking, and then, poof, I never saw him again. Ah, you sly little rat, Marley. I don't trust you one bit. Anyway, Kiana left Marley and continued his desperate search. While walking through the city streets, he suddenly heard crying. He followed the sound and found a huge cage covered with a cloth. He pulled the cloth back, and there they were, dozens of people chained inside, including little children. The slaver who was running the operation showed up and tried to push Kiana away from the cage. But Kiana was already boiling with rage. He grabbed the man and nearly killed him right there. That's when the Spaniards showed up. They chased Kiana through the streets, but he managed to slip away and vanish right under their noses. Meanwhile, back in Hawaii, the coronation ceremony was underway for the new king. They were also announcing the new ministers and distributing positions. One of the attendants read the late king's will. His son, Kiwalao, would be crowned king. And Kamehameha, well, he would be named the god of war, basically the equivalent of minister of defense. But Kiwalao didn't like that one bit. He said, what? The position of minister of war should be mine. How could my father possibly give that to Kamehameha, that illegitimate child? He demanded that Kamehameha give up the title, but Kamehameha refused because he knew the truth. Kiwalao wasn't capable. He didn't have the strength to lead an army. At best, he was fit for a ceremonial throne, nothing more. That's when the tension between Kiwalao and Kamehameha really blew up. The man reading the king's will quickly stepped in, warning Kiwalao, calm yourself. If the chiefs feel you're opposing your father's last words, they'll withdraw their support. But Kiwalao was wild with rage. He couldn't stand the humiliation of Kamehameha holding the title of Minister of War. To him, it was an insult carved into his pride. Kamehameha, however, didn't waste words. He simply picked up the staff, the symbol of the position, and walked away. The staff was the key. Whoever held it was the official minister of war. Did Kiwalao just sit quietly? No. He went berserk. He began punching himself in the face until he cracked one of his own teeth. He spat it out before everyone, declaring, my mourning is over. It was their tradition. Breaking a tooth marked the end of grief. And now, with no more restraints, Kiwalao announced he would act as he saw fit. In other words, he was preparing for war with Kamehameha. A civil war was coming, and that would play straight into King Kahekili's hands. Later, Moku found Kamehameha alone and tried to give him counsel, what to do, what not to do. But Kamehameha wasn't listening. He turned his back and walked away, too heavy with his own thoughts. Unbeknownst to them, Kahumanu had been watching from a distance. She approached Moku after Kamehameha left, telling him she wanted to talk to Kamehameha herself to help him make the right decision. But Moku waved her off. Not now. Stay in your place with the other wives. Kahumanu frowned. Didn't you tell me before that he needs me to make the right choices in his life? Yes, Moku admitted, but later. Not now. And with that, he walked away. Kahumanu rolled her eyes, dismissing Moku's advice. She went straight to Kamehameha herself. She sat by him gently and asked, what's wrong, my love? Why do you carry such heavy burdens? I want you to believe you are the chosen one. Kahumanu pointed to the great stone before them. See that rock? Isn't that the sacred stone of Nahi, the one you moved? The prophecy says the one who moves it is the chosen one. And they all say you, Kamehameha, we're the one who moved it. Kamehameha shook his head. Let me tell you the truth. I didn't really move that stone. That day, in front of everyone, when I tried to lift it, the earth shook beneath me, an earthquake. And that's what allowed me to flip it over. But it wasn't my strength. If I tried now, I couldn't move it again. Kahumanu leaned closer, dismissing his doubts. Forget about the stone, my love. What matters is you focus your mind and gather your strength. Dark days are ahead, Kamehameha sighed. But what can I do? Our gods remain silent. They don't answer me. They give no sign. How can I know which path is right? Kahumanu looked at him firmly. Simple. Use wisdom. Act with the judgment you know is right. The gods don't need to speak for the truth. It's right in front of you. Open your eyes, Kamehameha. For the first time, her calm reasoning struck him deeply. He admired her clarity, her courage. Perhaps more than all the priests and advisors, she was the one who could truly guide him. Meanwhile, back on the island of Zamboanga, Spanish soldiers confronted the ship's captain, demanding to know if he had seen a man named Kiana. The captain shrugged. Never heard of anyone like that. Look, my ship is right here. Search it from top to bottom if you want. The Spaniards exchanged glances. No need. For now. But hear this. If we find out you've lied, we'll finish you. And that's by law. With that, they left. The captain exhaled heavily, then turned to Faye. Listen carefully. By tonight, the weapons will be fully loaded on this ship. But if Kiana doesn't show up before then, I'm sailing without him. I risked my neck lying to the Spaniards, and I'm not risking it twice. A man's life is his own, but mine is mine. At that time, we return again to Hawaii, where we find Kamehameha and his tribe performing certain rituals in order to communicate with their gods. However, the gods did not respond, so Kamehameha said to his tribe, "Listen, since the gods are not willing to answer, and we know very well that Kiowa will attack us, we will prepare ourselves for defense. We will not attack, no, but we have every right to defend ourselves." One of the tribe members said to him, "But how can you take such a step without hearing the opinion of the gods?" Kamehameha replied, "The gods are not willing to answer, and I am the chief of the tribe here. I will do what I see as best for the tribe." And that was exactly what Kahumanu had told Kamehameha. At that moment, Moku felt that Kahumanu was the one speaking through Kamehameha and realized that Kahumanu had broken his word. At the same time, on the shore of the island, we find Kapohe going to speak with Namake. She thanked him for standing by her during the past period, for pulling her out of the terrible state she was in, and for being the one who strengthened her and was her source of strength. Namake said to her, "Don't say that. You, Kapohe, are a fierce warrior and capable on your own of everything without anyone's help. No, no, no. What powerful words are these?" Kapohe, of course, after hearing those words, could hardly move from her place. Nevertheless, she managed to stand strong in front of Namake because she still loved Kiana. She handed him her necklace and said, "This is something from me to you. But Namake, my brother, I cannot forget Kiana." Then she left him and walked away. "Oh, well done, Kapohe. Yes, that's how you should be. Strong and loyal." We return again to the Indian island, where Faye, after much searching, manages to find Kiana. Or rather, Kiana was the one who managed to reach her. Anyway, Faye said to him, "Where have you been, man? We need to leave. All the weapons are almost loaded onto the ship." Kiana said to her, "I'm not leaving here without Tony." So Faye told him that Tony had already been sold as a slave. Kiana asked her where he could find him. Faye described to him the place where he might be and told him, "Don't be late. Come back quickly. The ship will leave without you." Kiana left her and went to that place she had told him about, sneaking around so no one would see him until he reached the cells where the people were imprisoned. There, he started opening the cells and calling out for Tony. After opening almost all of them and taking down a few guards along the way, he finally found Tony. Kiana immediately grabbed him, supported him, and led him out of that place, sneaking carefully to reach the ship. But while they were on their way, Marley spotted them. He didn't clash with them, though. On the contrary, he was afraid of Kiana and ran away. Anyway, Kiana reached the boat that would take him to the ship, and indeed they made it safely aboard. By then, all the weapons had been loaded, and the captain immediately gave the order to set sail. At that moment, Kiana was staring at the city, saddened that he couldn't free all the slaves trapped there. Yet at the same time, he was pleased, knowing he had left his mark on those who ruled it. We return again to Hawaii, where we see Namaki coming back at the end of the day and entering his hut. He was surprised to find Kapohe waiting for him inside. I was hoping she had come back just to take her necklace again. But wait, what's this? Turns out Kapohe gave in and surrendered herself to Namake. So please, let's drop the words loyal and strong for Kapohe and replace them with impulsive and not trustworthy. And with that, episode 4 comes to an end. Until episode 5 is released next week, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and share so the video can reach more people. And if it's your first time hearing me and you're not subscribed to the channel yet, then subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you get alerted for every new video. See you all, God willing, in the next video. Farewell.